The Secret Service is completely coming apart at the seams. It is in utter collapse mode. Whistleblowers are starting to come out. The public that were attending the rally during the Trump shooting, the assassination attempt, did an amazing job videotaping everything. All of that stuff went on channels like X that weren't taken down. And it's crazy to see how the left is spinning this as a conspiracy theory that it was all faked. People died. Photos of bodies were in the videos. First account witness statements made. And they're saying that it was a conspiracy theory, that all this was made up. We are witnessing, for the first time in history of our country, a certain demographic, a large demographic of people losing their minds. I have, in my life, been around a handful of pathological liars. It is absolutely mind-blowing to me. I remember one person that I knew was smoking weed. This is probably 20 years ago, 15 years ago. And I'm like, what are you doing smoking weed? And as he opens his door and the smoke is lofting out and hitting me, and as a firefighter, I got to back off. I'm like, I can't be around any of this stuff. And he looks me straight in the eye. He's like, I'm not smoking weed. I'm like, you're kidding, right? That's what we're witnessing right now. We're watching a segment of our population losing their mind, and they're lying. And what's happened is they've lied so much to the public, and the public has bitten off a lot of their lies and just accepted them, right? Just life goes on, to where now they're losing their minds when something big is happening, and they're completely losing control because the people aren't believing the lies anymore. You know, people talk about civil war a lot, and I can honestly say that I really do believe that people like myself, it would take a lot to run us to that direction. But the left keeps trying to push the right into a war. And we've seen wars start in the past by an instigator that pretends to be on the opposite side with a weapon that hurts somebody, so that the rest of that side will go and attack. That's what I believe happened in January 6th. I believe that the people that were doing anything bad were dressed in American style attire, make America great again style attire, and they were doing malicious acts. They were actors. They were paid actors. They were people doing evil things. Now, I believe that we are about to see, quite frankly, a real death in America. I believe, and this is just a gut feeling, and let me know if you agree, I wouldn't be surprised if our current president met some type of demise on purpose so that they can point the fingers at the right and go, they did it. I really believe that could happen. And I think that everyone needs to be very vigilant. I mean, wherever you are in America, I think you have to have, honestly, you need to be armed a couple different ways, but one of your ways is with a cell phone or recorder, and immediately, this is crazy. This may sound wild to you, and if it does, it does, but there are a couple platforms out there, Rumble being one and X being another one, and if you want to follow me on X, it's at Economy Ninja. I'll put the link in the video, but I think everyone should have one of those platforms right now and be ready to go live if something bad's happening, so that it's at least recorded, so that people that would want to do our country harm in the government couldn't take that stuff down. I really do believe that we could see the demise of our current president, which I would never want to see, ever. I don't want to see anyone die. But I think that the left is losing their mind so much that could happen. Now, I want to read you this story out of Zero Hedge, and I'll just remind everyone, there's 4 days left of the Investor Mortgage Pro course if you're interested. The link's down below. This story is entitled Secret Service Whistleblowers Emerge Following the Trump Assassination Attempt. The U.S. Secret Service whistleblowers have approached the House Judiciary Committee claiming that there were limited resources to cover the former President Donald Trump last weekend due to the North Atlantic Treaty Organization summit in Washington, D.C., as well as First Lady Jill Biden's campaign rally in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Chairman Jill Jordan has demanded answers, the FBI Director Christopher Wray, according to the Daily Caller. Whistleblowers have disclosed to the committee that the USSS led 2 briefings regarding the July 13th campaign rally on July 8th and the Western Pennsylvania Fusion Center and other stakeholders to discuss the upcoming unrelated events by President Trump and First Lady Jill Biden. Tim Burke reportedly told law enforcement partners that the USSS had limited resources last week because the agency was covering the North Atlantic Treaty Organization summit in Washington. The committee has several unanswered questions about the failures that led to the attempted assassination of a president, the first in over 40 years, as well as the FBI's ability to conduct a rapid, transparent, and thorough investigation in the wake of recent scandals. Accordingly, to ensure that the committee can effectively evaluate these matters during your testimony. Okay. Jordan seeks the following information from Wray. How many agents, analysts, and support personnel has the FBI directed to the investigation? Number 2, was there coordination between the FBI, USSS, the Secret Service, and the WPFC prior to President Trump's event on July 13th? How many buildings had to be secured inside and outside the security perimeter for President Trump's event on July 13th? And why was the roof of the AGR International Building left unsecured? There's actually a handful of other things, but have you seen the footage? It's blurry, of the water tower way back. There's somebody on top of the water tower during the shooting, and the image keeps the person seems to be moving away after the shots were fired. There are so many unanswered questions. It's incredible. And this is just a thought, but I believe there should be some citizens that when they attend these rallies, they set up cameras in a 360-degree view and get them recording to multiple outlets at once. You know, this is the time that Americans need to take the media into their own hands. And it's one thing for myself to be warning people about this economic collapse. And to, honestly, at this point, to say that we're going to have an economic collapse, the UK, parts of Europe are burning down right now as we speak. There are violent protesting going on. There are Arab nation people from different nations waving massive flags in protest. Immigrants are just completely tearing apart parts of Europe and the United Kingdom. We have this going on in our government right now. We have out of control spending for meaningless wars that have nothing to do with us except, and this is what blows me away, our Democratic Party has its servers over in the Ukraine. This was put out by Trump back in 2015. The only way to go get that info is essentially to declare war and go attack the country to go get it. To think, if anyone could, in any measure, I mean, look at John F. Kennedy, Abraham Lincoln. Let's talk about Reagan too. Any president that went against the money printing machine was assassinated. And there's multiple different ways to go against the money printing machine. And they are so afraid of what's coming, especially during a president's second term. The first term of a president's, being president, they want to get things done to get reelected, but they know that if they push too hard, they're not going to get reelected. They know by and large, every president's ever sat in that office knows that they're not in control. And every once in a while, we get a wrecking ball, someone that will go against the status quo for the betterment of our nation. Our founding fathers, a lot of them come to mind when I think about this. Well, our presidents, our elected leaders are only as strong as the populace that elected them in the first place. Thank you, CL, for the super chat. They're only as strong as we are. Right now, we are witnessing the left completely saying it was made up. It's fake. It's fake news, made up. Are you kidding? However, all of that footage, all of the footage that we're seeing, we're like, whoa, shooter on the water tank, shooter on the roof, police officer goes and sees a shooter, falls off, all this stuff that's not making sense was recorded by people like you or I. And the one thing we need right now to get our country lined back up is to be armed with the truth. And we can't be armed with the truth without knowing where to find the truth. And I think that's why this is so pivotal right now. And the other thing is, the sad thing, when nations start to fall apart, they always take you to war. If it's falling apart economically or it's falling apart socially, we actually are falling apart in two different ways. There are people watching us around the world, and we are, and this is what I do believe, because there are a lot of people that follow this channel that are from all over the world, and their comments are like, they are compassionate comments. For so long, people were raised all around the world to know that America is this great country, this country that has so much to offer and so much to give. And there are people around the world that have been raised to understand that and know that. And now they're watching it fall apart. They're watching a country, a ship that is sinking, a great, beautiful ocean liner that was built for greatness. And it's taking on water and it's listing, which means it can no longer steer straight. And their comments, I read them all the time. They're not insulting comments. Ironically, the insulting comments come inside the channel from people that have completely lost their mind. And let me explain. The comments that are bad are about 2% of the comments. Why? Because I honestly believe that the crazy people in our country that swing to the left side, the Democratic Party, the wild thinkers, the people of evil or foolish, those are two totally different things. Intentions only comprise about 2% of our nation. But because of their extreme wealth and their ability to print money and control the media, they have gotten so big. Their group was small and their mouth became large, and it turned into laws and rules and a dictatorship. I know it sounds crazy, but when every day you turn on the news and there is a new federal law or a new state law, we have found ourselves in a dictatorship. Hitler spent most of his time in the libraries of his Congress, the libraries learning the law so that he could change the law. And it happened little by little by little, and then all at once. And that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing a complete unraveling. Type yes if you agree with that. But this is the other thing that I need you to say out loud, and it needs to get into your bones, because no matter what, I'm going to tell you right now, I believe one of two things are coming: an economic collapse or war. And I believe, honestly, what's going to happen is the economic collapse comes first, and then a war of some type, because every government knows in their playbook, in some dark secret library, when everything goes to crap economically, they pull this book out, they open it up, and chapter 1, it says, declare war. And it don't matter with who, because you're going to start a money printing scheme. You're going to be able to rally the troops. And when I say the troops, you're talking about the citizens of that country, and you're going to take them to war, and then you're going to get them all to believe in themselves. And that is a trick that has been played over and over and over again. Think about it. They want to send our children to go and die so that they, when I'm saying they, I'm talking about the freaking lawmakers, so that they can go and conquer another civilization and take back their wealth and vote them all raises and get more security and build walls again around their house. Don't put a wall around our country. No, don't protect the people. You see, what's happening is exactly what happened in medieval times. A king rises to power, usually rises to power because he killed another family off or destroyed other people, and then they start building a castle because they have slaves outside. They're called citizens, but really they're serfs. They're slaves. And see, what's happening is the walls are going up. Look at leaders like Nancy Pelosi that said, no way you're going to put a wall across our southern border, because that's a lot of her voting base, right? She can deceive people. As people are coming into our country, they're going, oh, you want a driver's license? You want any kind of assistance? Here's a voting record. They just shot down the ability for pollsters to, when you come in to vote, to ask for your ID. That is criminal. The only people that should be voting for our nation's leaders are people that are living here, are citizens that are working, paying taxes. Those are the only people that should be voting. If you agree, type yes. But here's the thing. How many of you right now aren't preparing for an economic downturn? There are a lot of people that are going, yes, you're saying things right. Preach it, brother, right? But you're not getting ready for the backside. Well, I tell you what, who is? Nancy freaking Pelosi, the Biden family, all of these Republicans and Democratic leaders, billionaires are selling stock little by little. People like Jeff Bezos, all these billionaires are out there selling their stock. Jamie Dimon actually selling his JP Morgan stock for the first time ever. Why? You tell me why. But most serfs, most slaves will sit there and go, the stock market's an all-time high. I don't give a rip. It was at an all-time high in 2006. It was at an all-time high in 2000. I don't give a rip. I've lived through 2 of these economic cycles, and the third one is going to be the charm. Get ready for that. But most people, they're completely blinded. Oh, I made like 15% this year, 20% this year. I'm like, are you kidding? I made 20% in the last month. And that's not to brag. That's just knowing where to put your money and where not to. Right? Asset allocation properly, proper diversification, and knowing where the tide's going to flow. That's not bragging. It's just the truth. I'm preparing for a complete meltdown in the real estate market. But you know what? I was one of those crazy people that said that also in 2006 when I was selling my houses. And I didn't have a lot of houses. I had 14 properties. I didn't have a ton. But I didn't know anybody that had more than me. I didn't have a mentor that said, if you got 14, why don't you have 50? Why don't you have 100? Yeah, I'm going to do that again. But I don't want to go by myself. And we got all these people out there sharing videos on X, and this is good. And we need to keep sharing things. But look, if you're not ready for it, it's going to smack you upside the face and you're going to become a part of the problem. There are people that started watching this channel 3 years ago, and I talked about Bitcoin when it was like $2,000. I said, I didn't want to give financial advice. I said, look, I'm buying some. It's going to be worth $100,000. And it's going to be worth more than that someday. That's not financial advice. That's just what I believe. I said you should look at buying gold and silver because the ratio of gold and silver to real estate and the Dow Jones is going to explode. If you look at what it's just done since January, it's laughable. I'm glad everybody's got their S&P funds. You're about to see a turn that will blow your mind. And there are people that are getting ready for this. But to be honest with you, it's nowhere near enough. Because what's going to happen is there are specific funds that have been set aside to buy up all of this real estate as it crashes down. BlackRock started the largest ever in history real estate downturn fund, and they funded it. It's just sitting there. BlackRock. I do videos sometimes about the downturn in the real estate market, and I'm mocked. I could give a rip because I know it's here. I already know it started. I've already been a part of watching the Fed actually change the data that's been on this channel. And I have people that mock. They have no concept. Wealth is a slow game, real wealth. There are people that win the lottery. There are people that hit a slot machine every once in a while. And you know what's ironic about both of those types of people? They're broke. They're dead broke because they're gamblers. They don't know how to make real generational wealth. I hope you get ready for this. I'm going to put a link to my X handle. I think that everyone should start a channel, at least, a presence, because if you ever see something and you need to post it, it's there, it's on record, and it gets shared out by other people and grabbed so it doesn't get lost. I think it's really important. The media tries to put copyrights and things like that on that kind of stuff, so you can't do that and they can control it. You can't share it, but on X, it's a lot easier. So I'll put my handle down there. And if you want to check out the Investor Mortgage Pro and you want to learn how to start getting ready during this downturn to take advantage of it, there's 4 days left on the sale. I'll put the link down below. Hope you all have an amazing day. The Economic Ninja is out.